exactly are collard greens? Collard greens are a type of leafy green vegetable that have big green leaves and tough stems in the middle, like this. They're in the same family as cabbage and kale and mustard greens, and they're popular in southern cooking. Many people like to cook them in soups and to simmer them for long periods of time, since the sturdy leaves can tolerate a long cooking time. Collard greens can be sautéed with onions and go great with a little vinegar, salt, and pepper. These days they're even popular as a substitute for bread when the whole leaf is cooked and used as a wrap. Are collard greens healthy? Collard greens are a great source of calcium, magnesium, potassium, fiber, folate, and vitamins A, B2, B6, and C. They also provide you with vitamin K, which is really good for bone health. You might be wondering, how do you get the bitterness out of collard greens? Seasoning collard greens with the right amount of salt and something sour like lemon juice or apple cider vinegar can really balance out the bitter flavor. I find adding a little caramelized onion or leeks also helps. So what's the healthiest way to eat collard greens? You can steam them, boil them, or sauté them in a pan. Are collard greens and kale the same? I find kale to be a little more strong and bitter tasting than collard greens. Personally, I just love this big flat leaf, giving me the option of using it as a wrap. Now I'm going to show you how to wash and cut collard greens, as well as a simple recipe using collard greens. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Christine, and today's video is made in collaboration with Basil Bandwagon Natural Market. So when you buy a bunch of collard greens from the grocery store, this is what's considered a bunch. It's usually 6 to 8 leaves. And to wash your collard greens, you want to put them in a bowl of nice cold water and immerse them. These are really clean. I have to say the collard greens from Basil Bandwagon are just pretty impeccable. Like, they really don't even need much washing. There's no dirt attached or anything. But I'm gonna let these soak for a little bit and then give them a rinse. You'll notice that the collard greens have almost like a natural waxy substance, so that the water just sort of beads off of it. But the idea is just to get the worst of any dirt off of there, if there is any. In my case, there's really not. And then I've moved these over to a water absorbent mat, and I'm just gonna dry off the tap water. Or you can skip the drying if you don't really care if there's tap water in your greens. Before I cut up the collard greens, I'm first going to cut up some scallions. The scallions are going to give it a nice sweet flavor. Or you could use onions, you could use garlic, but something from the onion family just to help offset the bitter flavor of collard greens. I'm going to sweeten it up a little. So this is, 5 scallions. And I'm being lazy and cutting them all together, but you can feel free to cut them 1 or 2 at a time. Of course, you always want to have a good sharp knife to do things like this. Scallions are like the true test of how sharp your knife is. You'll either slice right through if your knife is nice and sharp, or you'll smash them if it needs sharpening. So to cut a collard leaf, I just want to show you this little method in case you wanted to make a collard leaf wrap. What you would do in that case is you would nip off the end, like 2 to 3 inches off the stem, and then you would just thin down the back of the stem. But I'm not cutting all the way through. I'm just kind of shaving off a little bit so it's thinner, and it'll be more flexible and pliable when it's cooked, but it will still kind of stay together as a whole leaf. So if you wanted to use this as a wrap, you would simply drop it in boiling water, just like you would with pasta. So drop this in boiling water and it'll become a nice flexible collard wrap for you. But to make our boiled collard greens, we're going to now slice it down the middle. And then fold those halves in half, and I like to cut it in half again so that I'm dealing with like a smaller area here. Then I'm just going to cut this into 1/2-inch thick strips. And you could either keep it in strips like that, or if you want to cut it even smaller, my daughter likes her greens kind of on the smaller bite size. So then I'm going to cut it into little squares like that. So I'm heating up a fry pan, and I'm going to add roughly 1/2 to 1 cup of water, enough to cover the bottom of a large pan. Add the chopped collard greens. Add the scallions. Salt and pepper to taste. Add a splash of lemon juice. Cover and cook on high for about 3 to 5 minutes until they're nice and tender. and you may need to stir them occasionally as they cook. Keep an eye that your liquid hasn't totally evaporated, depending how high you have your heat on your stovetop. Add a little more as needed. After 3 to 5 minutes, the collard greens will have softened up nicely, and you can serve them as is or with your favorite dressing. If you want to let your collards keep cooking even longer, feel free to do that. Some people love to stew their collard greens. You can even add in a little diced tomato or some carrots and other vegetables and just let them cook for even 20 minutes. But of course, you'll need to add more liquid to let them cook that long. Then they get really nice and tender. So now you know what collard greens are, and you have some fun ways to eat them. With all of the health benefits they provide, I'm excited for you to try them if you haven't yet. Comment below, how will you be making your collard greens? If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and when you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you'll be the first to find out about new videos when they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon!